Good morning, this is BremSter, and today I'm coming to you with another one of the puzzles that's going to go into my BremSter unpublished puzzle video section, at least initially. This one is likely to hit the main channel, so if you're seeing this on the main channel, hi. So this is a puzzle called Arsenic on Rye, and this is a puzzle that originally came up because Randall, another setter who I really like his puzzles, messaged me and said, "Hi, I've got this idea," and sent me an idea for the opening of a puzzle. And it was very, very cool, and I really liked it. And he said, "I'm not really sure where to go from here." And then I actually said, "Try this," and then try this. And we basically bounced ideas off each other and kept adding clues kind of one after the other. I sort of added some stuff after his break in. And I remember one moment where I turned around and said, "Do this," and he was like, okay. And then like 5 minutes later it was like, "Oh my lord." And because of the ramifications of the clue that had been added, and there were a few things that I added like that. And then he came back and said, "Well, we had to take a break, we both had things to do." And then he came back and said, "I finished the puzzle," and we looked at it and was like, "Yeah, it's been refined a few times since then." So there's been a lot of collaborative setting where we've bounced ideas back off each other. So this is a puzzle by BremSter and Randall. So it's the first one of a collaborative set I've put into my unpublished playlist. And as I said, I don't know how long it'll stay there, but it is a puzzle that we are both incredibly happy with. Now, I do remember a lot of the tricks in this puzzle, but it is a type of puzzle that I very much struggle with. So there will be moments where I'm sitting here going, I need to sort of get some help with this, because it's something that I've been asked a lot, is why don't you remember the exact path through your puzzles? It's because you're putting 81 digits into a grid following logic, and all of those logics, I may remember key moments, but the order that they happen in and the way things come up, particularly as puzzles change over time. So when you start, you may have a way of sort of breaking into a puzzle, but as you add clues, that will change your break-in, or those clues will affect your break-in, and there may be impacts of that on different things. And you may remember there's this really cool trick, but you may not remember when that trick becomes available, and all sorts of stuff like that. So, and particularly if you're recording a video almost every day like I am, and since we set this puzzle, I've recorded 4 puzzles. So there's been a whole heap of stuff going on, and I just can't keep all of that detail in my brain. Maybe when I was younger I could, but I can't now. So anyway, I'm going to go into this puzzle. Sorry about the long rambling intro, but I thought people might be interested in knowing sort of why it is that I often come to these puzzles and go, I was watching something on one of BremSter's streams the other day, where someone turned around and said, "I came back to one of my puzzles after a few months, and I kind of remembered the break-in, but after that it was like a completely new puzzle to me." I love that concept, looking at my old puzzles and going, wow. And I've been doing that while I've been doing some recording of some older puzzles recently. It's been a lot of fun. How does Arsenic on Rye work? So there are 3 main rules in effect. Normal Sudoku rules apply. In every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. This is a killer puzzle. So digits in cages must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So these 3 digits will sum to 13, these 3 digits will sum to 8, these 3 digits will sum to 17. Digits cannot repeat within cages. So for example, we could not put 2 5s into those cells. That would not work, because even though 553 sums to 13, that breaks the rules of killer. Does not break the rules of Sudoku, breaks the rules of killer. Not legal. The clues outside the grid are sandwich clues, and what they are telling us is the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in those rows or columns. So for example, between the 1 and the 9 in this row, the digits will sum to 12. Between the 1 and the 9 in this row, the digits will sum to 25. Between the 1 and the 9 in this column, the digits will sum to 26. We do not know those at the start where the 1 and the 9 are. That's all we've got. So they're the rules. I'm going to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. So we can immediately look at a 7 cage. There's only one way to make up a 7 cage in 3 cells that see each other, 1, 2, 4. So there's only one. It's a killer cage. They all see each other. There must be a 1 in an 8 cage, because if you don't put a 1 in an 8 cage, then you end up with 2, 3, 4, which is 9. Cannot put a 1 in column 3, so that is not the 1. Must put a 1 in an 8 cage in box 9. Now, there's a couple of different things you can investigate here, but the important thing, and I'm going to jump straight to it because this is kind of a demonstration solve, is you must put a 1 in the 8 cage here. So if you look at a 12 clue, how many clues, sandwich clues, can it be for a 12 clue? Well, a 12 clue in sandwich can only be 2 or 3 long. 3, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6, 2, 3, 6, or 2, 4, 5, because you cannot use a 1 or a 9 in a sandwich clue. So if it is too long, it could get as far as that. So it could only get as far as this if this is the 1 or this, but it can never get further than this. This is 3 away from the furthest right one. So the 9 can never be this far along, because if I was to put a 9 anywhere in this box, then it would mean that these 4 digits would have to sum to 12, and I cannot do that without using a 1. So I can never put a 9 in here. Now, what that means is in a 22 cage, if you look at the options for a 22 cage, you've only got 5, 8, 9 or 6, 7, 9. But this sandwich clue has told us that I cannot put a 9 in either of those two. So this becomes a 9 and that becomes crust. Now, still I have 2 or 3 away, but if this is the one, the 9 could go here. If this is the one, so I've still got lots of options for where the 9 goes. I do know, however, the 9 is somewhere over here. It's not here, however, because if the 9 was here, then the furthest away the 1 could be is here, and these are part of an 8 cage, so the maximum these could sum to is 7. So that cannot be a 9, and that is absolutely not part of the that's not crust, because there's no way I can make 12 exist solely inside an 8 cage. This cannot be crust because that would be a 0 clue. The smallest you can make a 26 cage is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that goes down. And now I know I need to put a 1 somewhere down here. But the 1 in this box is limited to those 3 cells. So the only place I can put 1 in this column in this box is right there. So that becomes the crust of that sandwich. And this may look like I'm just saying, oh, this is a really easy puzzle. Finding these, what I'm doing is I'm demonstrating the solve. Finding this on your own may not be as easy. That takes 1 out of here. So we now know that these are 2, 5, or 3, 4. That is absolutely forced. I need coffee. This is where the puzzle gets a lot more tricky for me, even though some of this stuff is what I put in. Now, 26 in 4, there is only one way of doing this. This is a 5, 6, 7, 8 sandwich clue, so these become 2, 3, 4. Now, there must be a 5. This is now a 2, 3, 4, 5 quadruple. But the 5 must exist here because the 5 is in here. So this is the 5, 2 to complete the 8. 3, 4 comes out of there. The 2 comes out of there, and I can get the first digit, the first non-crust digit, which is a 2 at the top of the grid. These have to sum to 13. So this is either going to be 5, 8, or 6, 7. So that's another important thing. Now, what do we have next? Right, what we have next, and this is kind of important, this is probably the first really tricky spot in the puzzle, is this 25 clue. And this was probably my first contribution to the puzzle that caused Randall to go, oh my lord, was if you look at this 25 clue, there's 2 ways of thinking about a 25 clue. First of all, the digits between the 1 and the 9 have to sum to 25, or because an entire row of a Sudoku has to sum to 45, but the crusts will always sum to 10, they are 1 and 9, the digits not between the 1 and the 9 have to sum to 10. So the question is, what happens if we put the 1 and the 9 all the way over here? So what happens if this is not a 9? If this is not a 9, we can put the 25 over here. Now, the minimum you can do 25 in is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So these would become the 1 and the 9, which potentially is okay. But over here, we would need to do 10. But the only way to do 10 in 3 is with 2, 3, 5. And you can't do it because the 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this box are now allocated by this 26 clue and this 8 cage. And because of that, you cannot do 10 over here. So you cannot make these not part of the sandwich, and that must be the 9. That is kind of a tricky spot, but it is absolutely vital to this solve, I think. So if you were to put a 9, 1 here, these would have to sum to 10 without using 1 and 9, and there's no way to do it because you can't use 2, 3, 5. So that becomes the 9. Now we need to get to 25 along here, and this is 17. If we were, there is a trick here, and I'm trying to remember what it is. This is 17. This has a maximum of 9. 17 plus 9 is 26. This has a minimum of 5 and 17, which is 23. I can get, oh, except I can't do, this isn't the cleanest way, but I'm actually kind of just solving it based on what I'm seeing at this point, because I'll be honest, I don't remember the next step. So I don't think, well, I can't put a 9. Oh, that's right. I can't put a 9 in this 17 clue, which means I immediately can't put a 1 in this 17 clue. So the 1 has to be over here. Now, the maximum you can do 25 in is 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, because the maximum you can do 17 in is 5, that's my 5. I can't put a 1 in here. The 1 has to be over here. This has to be the 1 because I can't do 17. I can't do 25 in more than 5. 25 in 6 without using, it's just not doable. So these aren't the 1. This isn't the 1. And I've got this 2, 4 pair. And that's just sandwich. This is a 17. This is crust. These are not crust. This is a 17 without a 1 or a 9. 2, 7, 8, 3, 6, 8, 4, 5, 8, 4, 6, 7. Now, it does mean the 1 is down here. Now, there is, these are not crust because they are 2 and 4. Now, this is 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to do that first. There is something else that is already in this grid that's quite important, but I'm going to get there in a moment. If this is 8, this is 3. If it's 7, it's 4. And if it's 5, 6, it's 5, 6. That is absolutely not crust. Not that it matters at this in that column or row, but now I think I'm going to jump to the trick, which is column 5. Now, we know we've got a 15 sandwich clue and we have a 15 cage in this column. But if we look at this, you cannot put a 1 here because there's a 1 in this 8 cage, and you can't put a 1 here because of the 1 in this 8 cage. So you cannot bound this 15 cage with 1 and 9. So if you were to put a 9 here, you can't put a 1 here because you can't put a 15 in a single cell. You couldn't put a 1 here because it would be 0. And if you went down, if you put a 1 here, you would have a problem because you can't put the 1 there. And if you put a 1 further down, this clue would be bigger than 15. So you can never put a 9 there. This 15 clue actually tells you that that is not the 9. So this has to be the 9 in the row, and that becomes your 9. Now you've got some information about these ones, because 12 could either be done in 2 or 3. It now has to be done in 3 because that can't be the 1. This becomes the 1, and this is not the 1. This is not sandwich, not crust. This is crust. This is now 12 in 3, so 2, 3, 7, 2, 4, 6, or 3, 4, 5. Now, these are 2, 5 or 3, 4. That can't be 2, 4, so this can't be 3, 5. So we've actually got some limitations on that. So what we now know also, there must be crust in here. And this is where I get this puzzle a bit wrong. But there must be crust in this cage, because if you don't put crust in this cage, the crusts will be out here, and they will include this cage, and that's going to cause a problem. So there must be a 1 or a 9 in this cage. So the options 258, 267, 348, 357, and 456 go away, as does 159, because if I put both crusts in this cage, I wouldn't have 15. So this is 168 or 249 only. And I need to plug in my mouse. I have just run out of battery. That's a first while recording, I think. Okay, that's done. Now, we do know that these two cells to complete the 22 cage sum to 13. We know they sum to 10, and we know they sum to 12. So these 12 plus 10 plus 13 is 35. These two cells sum to 10, so this is a 6 or an 8. That will become useful. I just don't remember when. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That will, and that gives me a 6, 7, 8 triple, including the fact that the 7 must be down there. 6 comes out of there, so 5 comes out of there. That's not useful yet. I am trying to remember what the useful thing is. Right, where does 9 go in row 9? I cannot put 9 anywhere in these 3 cells. I just can't do it, because if I was to put 9 in any of these 3 cells, so if I was to put 9 here, the 1 would be here because 1 can't go over here, and I'd have to put 10 in that cell. Similarly, 9 in the middle would mean it's a 0 clue. 9 here, the furthest away I can make the 1 there, and 10 would have to go in the middle. So 9 does not go in any of those. So the 9 is over here. This is now not crust, and the 9 has to go up here. But that could be the 9 if the 1 is up here. No, what? Yeah, this cannot be crust, because if this was, again, the same thing, if this is 9, this would have to be the 1, because I can't go down and I can't go up. Should have flagged that earlier. The cells on either side of the 15 cage could never be crust, because for the same reason that one couldn't be, that one can't be. So 9 is in one of those two. That's a 9. That is not a 9. That becomes the 9. That is the 9 in the row, which means that is not 9. Okay, so we've got some limitations there. This can't be a 9 because, and I completely forgot one of the most important clues in the puzzle. That can't be a 9 because there has to be, this is a 14 clue. I should have done this earlier. So I need to do 14 in this column. So we've already got a 1. We can't put can't go down. There's no room. We've got 6. Okay, so 14 in a sandwich clue can only be done in 2, 3, or 4. So if I do here, that in the 2, that's already 6. If I do it, put the 9 here, broken. If I put the 9 here, I could do it in 3. If I put the 9 here, I can't put the 9 there. And if I put it here, I've got 5, and you can't do 14 in 5. So the 9 must go here, making that the crust. These are not crust. And this needs to now make up the rest of the 14. So this has to be an 8. This takes 8 out of this, which takes 3 out of this. This is not crust. And this 11 cage now cannot be 2, 9 or 3, 8 because I've got those in the cage. So this is 5, 6 or 4, 7, which lines up with that. So this is a quadruple. This is a 1, 2, 3, and 9. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 9. There is no 9 there. There is no 9 there. There is no 2 there. Now, I cannot put a 3 in this 15 cage because of the makeup of the 15 cage. And there is something else I have missed. There is something I have forgotten. There is completely something I have forgotten. Hmm. This is what happens when BremSter tries to be clever. He fails. So 1 is in one of those two. And 9 is either... 9 is in one of those two. Now, here is an interesting thing. Can 9 be here? And the answer turns out to be no, it can't. Because if you put 9 into this cell, how do you make up 13? Well, 13 in a sandwich clue can either be 2 or 3. Well, this one here would be 4 away, so you can't make up 13. So 13, 5, 8, 6, 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 4, 6. They're the only ways of doing it without using a 1. So if this one would be out, but if this was the 9 and this was the 1, I would need to make up 13 with these two. But this is a 2 or a 4. So because of that, if this was the 9 and this was the 1, this would have to be 2 and 11 or 4 and 9. And neither of those are possible because I can't do 4, 9. So this cannot be the 9. That's not possible. So these become the 9s and I get those last two crusts. This is not 9. So that is... These are all not crust. Now, I can look at the 13 in this direction. We already were talking about you can't do it in 4. So this becomes the 1. This is not the 1. And now, all of these are not crust. And now I need to turn around and say, okay, how do I do 13 in here? Well, 13 can only be done with 5, 8, or 6, 7 in there. Now, there is something here I've completely missed. So I know that... I've got this. These two cells need to sum to 8 because 25 minus 17 is 8. That's what I've completely missed. So these cells need to sum to 8. I can't use 4, 4. I can't use 2, 6. So this has to be 5 and 3. The 5 makes this 2. The 3 makes this 4. Now I can take 5 and 8 out of there because that's one way of making 13. This 17 cage now can't have 5 in it. It can't have 3 in it. So this is either 2, 7, 8 or 4, 6, 7. Either way, it's got a 7 in it. So there's no 7 here. So there's no 6 here. Now this 2 makes this 4 and this 2. Now, there is definitely something here I am completely missing. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These have to sum to 12. What have I gotten wrong? I fear I've gotten something wrong. I really do. There are bits of this puzzle I am bad at. Of course, I can't use a 1 or a 9 in it. 2, 3, 7, 2, 4, 6, 3, 4, 5. So I can't use 2, 4, 6. That's blatantly clear. So it's 2, 3, 7 or 3, 4, 5. There must be a 3 in here. That is known. What have I forgotten? There was something in row 5. So down here, there is something I have completely gotten wrong. Or not necessarily wrong. So the 15 cage, 168 or 249. There must be a 9 in this cage. That's what I've completely forgotten. The two nines pointing in mean that there must be a 9 in this cage. This is 249. This is 249. I can't put a 4 in the middle. And so I can't put 2 in either of those. This becomes a 1-3 pair. There is no 1 or 3 here. This becomes the 9. This becomes the 2. It was very, very silly of me. So you end up with that situation. That's what I'd forgotten. I must have a 9 in the cage because of Sudoku. I'd forgotten Sudoku. Sudoku in a Sudoku puzzle. What nonsense is this? Okay, so with this being 249, now can I do more yet? That's a good question. Oh, that 9 is looking at it. That's the 4 and that's the 9. So that becomes the crust. This becomes fill. And if the 9 is here, this has to go down as 15 in 2, which would be a 7-8 pair. And the 7 could only go there because there must be a 7 in this cage. So that would be 8-7-1. If this was 8-7, this would be 4-6. Yeah, maybe. If this goes up, that's different. I would need another 9 going up. Well, I couldn't use a single 9. So either way, this is not, because I couldn't use a single 9 here, either way, this is not a 1. So the 1 is either at the top or the bottom of this column. Yeah, I really have forgotten this, haven't I? Okay, so I do know, however, that these need to sum to 10. Because, again, similar to what I did up here, 25, this is 25, this is 10, so they sum to 35. This has to sum to 10, so this has to be 2 or 4. It can't be 4. So this is 2, this is 8. That means that these are now known to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 6, and 7, please. Yep, does sum to 17. So that's good. This can't be 4. So this now can't be 7 or 8. No, it can be 7 or 8. That's 7. That could be 8. That could be 1. Why did I say that? I saw that and went, it can't be 7 or 8. It can be 7 or 8. So it was just complete nonsense on my behalf. I'm doing that a lot at the moment. I apologise to Randall for not being at my best at all. 1 must be up here, so in fact I should have greened the rest of this row. And I can green all of those as well. This 13 cage maybe. Because this is a quad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 3, 5, 6, and 7. And this is 3, 5, 6, and 7. One and 2 need to go down here. I can't put 2 in the middle. Oh, this 8, this is a 13 clue. This becomes the 5, which takes 5 out of all of those. This is a 10 clue. I had to remember, so much stuff I'm forgetting. So this is a 10 clue. If I do 3, 6, this would have to be I can't do 10 in 3 now because the only way to do 10 in 3 is, as I was talking about before, 2, 3, 5. And I just can't use 2, 3, 5 in here. I've got a 6 or a 7 to play with. So this must be the 1. This must be the 2 by the logic I just did with 2s. These are not crust. This is crust. This becomes the 3. This becomes the 1. So I can color that and that. This has to sum to 10, so it doesn't include a 6. This is the 6. The 6 comes out of there. So the 3, 7 takes the 7 out of there. Whoops, takes the 7 out of there. So this actually becomes the 7. This is a 6, 8 pair now. That will become important at some point. This is now known. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is a pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 and 8. Now, what am I going to do with that? So that 3, 7 pair. Need to put a 3 in here. But I don't think that's it. I've got my 14. I don't have my 15. 8, 7 is still possible at this point, which is a bit weird to me. I thought that resolved. Oh, but I can't put a 1 down here. This is not the one. The 15 must go up. So this is the one. This is absolutely the one. BremSter at his best? Not really. So this now has to sum to 9. And I can't use 1, 2, or 4. So this has to be 3, 6. It's the only way to make it. So this becomes the 8. This is 8, 7, but this isn't 1. So that's a bit of a fun thing that I found when I remember testing this puzzle. So this is now 3, 6. Not sure of the order of that yet. This is 3, this is 8. So where am I looking now? I've got my 26, I've got my 15, I've got my 14, I've got my 13. I don't have my 12. I'll look at that next. I do have my 25, I do have my 10. So let's look at the 12. I could possibly look at the 8, but let's look at the 12. So if this is a 6, these would need to sum to 6. If this is a 6, this would have to either be 5, 1 or 3, 3, both of which are nonsense. This becomes the 3, this becomes the 6, this becomes the 5. 5 and 3 is 8, so this has to be a 4. 5 and 1 is 6, so this has to be a 2. Or I could have just used the fact that I already had a 4. I can take 5 out of those, so they have to sum to 13. So I can take the 8 out of those. This becomes the 8, which looks down, making this 6 and this 8. This is a 6, 7 pair. This is a 6, 7 pair, so I can take 6, 7 out of both of those. That's a 5, 8 pair, which makes that the 4. 4 and 7 equal 11, which makes this 6 and 7. The 4 and 7 come out of here, so this is a 5, 6, and I know the order because of those. That's the 5 and that's the 6. 3, I can take 5 out of those. There must be a 6 up here because of column logic. And now I think I've done all the sandwich clues and most of the killer clues, and it is just down to me solving the tricky Sudoku. 4 here makes this 6 and this 4. 6 has to go in one of those two. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does 5 go? 5 goes in any of them. 6 goes in one of those two. 7 goes in any of them, and 8 goes in any of them. Okay, that was not ideal. This is 3, 4, and 7. Which means 4, because of the 3, 4, 7 triple here, 4 must go in one of those two and not there, but this is a 3, 4, 7 triple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an 8, which puts 8 in one of those two. Now, can 8 go in this cage? Quite possibly. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 as well. And I can't put 6 on this side. So this is also 3, 4, 7. There'll be something obvious I have missed. But that, again, that is the motto of my channel. There is something obvious I have missed. I must put a 2 in this cage. So there must be a 2 in this cage. So it's 2, 3, 8, 2, 4, 7, or 2, 5, 6. It can't be 2, 4, 7 because I can't put a 4 anywhere in this cage. So I can't put a 7 in this cage at all. 2, 3, 8, or 2, 5, 6. So 2, 3, 8. So it'd be 2, 3, 8, or 2, 5. Well, I can't put 2 there. This is the 2. So it's 2, 3, 8, or 2, 5, 6. This is 5 or 8. 7 must be down here now, which means there's no 7 here. What are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There's no 6 up here. So 6, yeah, I've already got that 6 must be down here. There's no 8 in here. This is 5 or 7. Where does 4 go in this row? I can't put 4 in this cage, and I can't put 4 in... Yeah, 4 has to go here. That 4 was looking over there. So this is a 3, 7. I can take 7 out of there, which puts 7 into there. So what did I just get? I got that 4, which doesn't do anything. I got that 7, which doesn't do much. Wow, okay. What if... 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. There's no 6, 8 there. There's no 5, 8 there. This, 5, 8 pair makes this 3, makes this 6. There's no 6 here, which makes this 6. This is a pair, 1 and 2, which is resolved by that 2. This is 1, this is 2. I've completely forgotten the pair. So this is, and I'd forgotten to do my 1 logics and all sorts of stuff. Sorry, I don't know why I completely got lost then. Like, completely and utterly bamboozled. This column needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that takes 5 out of those. It makes this 8. 8 and 2 is 10. So this has to be the 3. Taking 3 out of all of those. The 4, 7 makes this 6. The 5 means this is not 5. Or 8. This is 7. This is 5. The 7 makes this 4 and 7. This row needs a 3. I've been making a lot of mistakes while solving stuff. This is 4. And I'm trying not to do it again. This is 5. This is 8. This is 5. This is 8. The 7 looks down, making this 3 and 7, which looks down, making this 3 and 7. And that is arsenic on rye. I think the break into this one is very, very cool. The way that the 8 cage then feeds into the 22 cage, which then feeds into the 8 cage. And after that, which, some of the original testing was like, that's really cool. But I really do like the way that these clues and the cages interact down here to sort of force this to be a 9. Not obvious, but there. And then this 15-15 combination, which makes, with the ones, going, hang on a minute, I must put crust in here, but I cannot put them completely bounded. I really like this 14 clue and the way that this sort of grows up, and the pressure from these means that actually this has to be a 4 and you get this 8, which puts the pressure on here, making this the quad, a quad, which you can then eliminate down. I really do like all of the pressures on this grid and the way that you have to use the sandwich and the killer logic together in order to get all of that stuff. I'm very, very happy with this puzzle, and I thank Randall so much for putting probably a lot more work into this than I did in order to make this puzzle as good as it is. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Randall, for making this what it is and allowing me to contribute. This did start with an idea from Randall, and we worked together on it for quite a while. I'm sorry I didn't do such a great solve. I possibly should have practiced it some more, but this is my channel and this is kind of the way I do things. Everyone knows that by now. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you keep coming back for more. Thank you everyone for watching, and as always, good luck with your solving.